question, and this is the question I'm going to try and answer in the next 5 minutes, which is, will we continue to work differently in the future? Bearing in mind we're undergoing, I think, one of the biggest behavioural changes in our history. What will it hold? I want to look at it from 4 different points of view, the issue of working from home. And they're the 4 T's: time, task, tempo, and trust. First of all, time. The interesting thing about home working is that we're working longer hours. I gather from Harvard that I think the increase, this is worldwide, is about 8.2% in terms of the increased workday. That's about 48.5 minutes. Now, it may be that you're putting the washing in the washing machine and that's why you've got a longer working day, but that is worth noting. We're having more meetings, we're spending less time on them, we're sending more emails, and we're particularly sending more emails after business hours. So another example of the extended working day. It's called asynchronous work. Now, that's important because we are failing to control time. Working from home doesn't help us to control time. In fact, it makes it worse. And it also emphasizes how important it is to have a regular schedule. The reason this is important is that younger generations joining the workplace do want to control time. They want to be in charge of their time. So there's a bit of a conflict there. The second thing is task. We must remind ourselves that not everyone can work from home. On the latest figures, 60% of adults are travelling into work. We need not to forget the 60% who are not working from home. So we mustn't always look at this through the lens of remote working. So we need to ask the question, is the work that the person is doing at home suitable for working from home? Is there some way that we can change it? Do we want to atomize the job? Do we want to break it up into small tasks? Some people are predicting there'll be a greater reliance on contractors and temps. And do we really need to do Zoom so much? I mean, it's completely unnatural to be attentive for so many hours. So we need to look at the task again, not to assume that because the person did the job in the office, it's necessarily the right way to do it at home. Third area, tempo. This is about the pace of work. It's, again, far more difficult to control when you're working at home. We all talk about the blurring of life between working at home and working in the office, between work and home life. And actually, I think one of the things that the pandemic has done, and the whole working at home scenario, it has highlighted how disproportionately many tasks fall to women. Now, there's a big debate going on at the moment about whether working from home helps women or doesn't help women. There have been headlines that are saying that women are leaving the workplace because they don't like working at home. There are others saying, oh, no, it's wonderful for women because now they can try and be promoted and succeed because they can do a pick and mix. Time will tell. And the last thing is trust. It is extremely difficult to manage a remote team and to build a remote team. People work for a purpose. Predictability and repetition build trust. People need to like and believe in their colleagues. So all those virtual tea breaks, those are really, really important. That's social interaction and communication. The problem with this is that if you lose the trust, you erode the culture. And that cultural erosion takes time. That culture takes many, many years. It's hard to build up. You can lose it very, very quickly after a working from home scenario for a long period. So those are the 4 aspects that I've been particularly focusing on with working from home. What do I conclude from this? Well, it's a battleground. Working from home is a battleground between the worker's preference for flexibility and the employer's temptation to micromanage. And I think that will continue. We are still in a crisis. We have to bear in mind we are in a crisis. We're in crisis mode. And one of the most important takeaways from my point of view is that employers must empathise with remote workers' personal circumstances. They've got to over-communicate. They've got to exercise what one person has called competent compassion. And what this means is that managers, in their skill set, emotional intelligence, social skills are going to be really, really important going forward. I don't believe the office is dead. As I've said, we're still in crisis mode. I think it's too soon, and I know some employers are not accepting requests for continuous remote working. Some employees have put their hands up, said to their employers, oh, please, I love this. I want to carry on working from home all the time. But employers are being slow to say yes. And the reason they're being slow to say yes is because they're still not sure what that future working model is going to look like, and we are still in crisis mode. And there are lots of other things. Some people don't like doing continuous remote work. It could be a productivity disaster in the long term because of the physical and mental impact on employees. Some people argue, and there's an argument about this, whether face-to-face collaboration is necessary for innovation. Andy Haldane thinks it does. It's necessary. Other people don't. There was a lovely letter in the Times which said, well, Picasso didn't seem to have a problem working from home. So that doesn't support the argument that you have to be in the office to be creative. Remote work itself leads to a more formal communication style. So it's often what's not said that does the damage rather than what's said. And lastly, again, cultural erosion. I think that's a real worry. Slowly losing motivation of your employees and loss of the values that an organization is basing itself on. So the result is, yes, it will be, I think, a hybrid working world. But the question is, how hybrid? And from a law firm point of view, I find this really quite exciting and fascinating because I've experienced working in a traditional law firm. I've also experienced running a virtual law firm. And I often said that I thought there would be a third model between the traditional law firm and the virtual alternative legal service provider law firm. Are we seeing that emerging now? Who knows? The last thing I want to leave you with is a quote from John Ruskin, because in the midst of all this, talking about remote working, he came up with 3 things that make people happy at work. And I had to smile when I read them because I thought these are still true today. And they are as follows. People must be fit for it. They must not do too much of it. And they must have a sense of success in it. I know that's the 19th century, but I think it applies to remote working today.